Most people think that their room is just a place to sleep, but as an interior architecture student, I've learned that the spaces we spend the most time in have a much bigger impact on our lives than we often realize. The way your room is organized can influence how well you sleep, how focused you are, your mood, and even the habits you build over time. Over the past few years, I've been slowly experimenting with my own room, constantly changing things, testing ideas, and seeing what helps me live better. So today I want to show you how I designed my room, and more importantly, why. When people want to become more productive and improve their lives, they often focus on terms like ambition, motivation, or discipline. The problem is that all those feelings just comes and goes. Your environment, however, is always there. Every object in the room sends a specific signal. Some things make good habits easier, others make distractions easier. That's why I think good design isn't just about making a room look nice. It's creating the environment that helps you live the life you want to live. Before showing you the room itself, let's quickly look at the layout. This is a simple floor plan of my room. When I look at a room, I try to think of it as a system rather than a collection of furniture. Every piece has a purpose, and every placement has a reason, and all of them together influence how the space feels and functions. Now let's walk through the room. The way I think about this room is pretty simple. Different areas support different parts of my life. So let's start with the place where every day begins, the bed. One of the first things you'll notice is that my bed faces the east-facing window. I chose this intentionally because it allows natural morning sunlight to reach me when I wake up. Light is one of the strongest signals for your body's internal clock, so waking up with sunlight feels much more natural than waking up in complete darkness. If you have multiple windows in your room, a tool like SunCal can help you understand how sunlight moves through your room throughout the day. Another thing that is important to me is the bed size. I personally prefer a bigger size bed because I value sleep a lot and sleep a lot. Good sleep affects almost everything. Your mood, your focus, training performance, recovery, and of course the most important one, your well-being. Since we roughly spend a third of our life sleeping, I think it's worth to take our time to create a sleeping space that is mindfully designed for your needs. More importantly, it being comfortable and spacious. Next to the bed is my bedside lamp. What I like about it is that it serves two different purposes. The first is ambient lighting. In the evening, bright overhead lighting can feel harsh, so having a softer light helps create a calmer atmosphere before sleep. The second function is a movable reading light. I enjoy reading before bed, and this allows me to read comfortably without lighting up the entire room. It's a small detail, but it's often the smaller details that make the most difference in how a room feels. Good sleep sets the foundation for the next day, but once I'm awake, the most important part of the room shifts to something entirely different: the desk. The desk is probably the most important area in my room. This is where I study, work on projects, write, plan, and spend a large portion of my day. One decision I made was positioning the desk directly in front of the window. When I look up from my work, I see trees and greenery, rather than another blank wall. I personally find that the views of nature help me relax my eyes and clear my mind during longer study sessions. Another reason I like this position is what I don't see. The bed and the door are behind me. When I'm sitting here, my attention naturally stays with my work rather than drifting toward other things in the room. On my desk, I have an adjustable task lighting. During the day, I typically use cooler blue light, while in the evening, I switch to warmer light. This allows the lighting to adapt to what I'm doing and what time of day it is. But if there's one thing more important than lighting while working, it's probably keeping the desk clean. The biggest productivity tool on my desk is not my laptop. It's simply an empty space. A cluttered desk creates visual noise, and when there are fewer distractions in front of me, it's easier to focus on the task I'm actually trying to complete. The dark curtains nearby also help control sunlight when needed, especially during study sessions where glare can become distracting. But a productive room isn't only about removing distractions. It's also about surrounding yourself with things that remind you what you are working towards. One thing I never wanted was a room that looked like a showroom. I wanted it to feel personal. Around the room you'll find books, journals, a whiteboard, vision boards, and even my dumbbells. Each of these objects serves as a reminder of something important to me. The dumbbells remind me of my fitness goals. The books remind me to keep learning. The journals encourage reflection. and the vision board reminds me of the long-term future I'm working towards. I think rooms are most meaningful when it reflects the person living in them, not just aesthetically, but also through the values and goals they represent. A room shouldn't only support your habits, it should also remind you of the person you're trying to become. And while those objects give the room meaning, the materials themselves help shape how the room feels. Most of the larger elements in my room are made from wood. My desk, storage units, bedside table, wardrobe, and even the floor all contain wood textures. I personally enjoy natural materials because they create a warmer and calmer atmosphere. There are also small elements of metal and stone throughout the room, which add some contrast. Individually, these choices seem small, but together they influence the overall feeling of the space. Of course, my room, like yours, isn't perfect. There are still things I am trying to improve. For example, I have a few wall hooks that I never really found a proper design solution for. At some point, I simply covered them with a poster. It works for now, but it's definitely not my favorite part of the room. But more importantly, my layout changes all the time, especially during exam periods. As my priorities change, my room changes with them. And honestly, I think that's a pretty good thing. A room shouldn't be frozen forever. It should evolve alongside the person using it. And that's probably the biggest lesson I learned from constantly redesigning the space. I'll continue experimenting with layouts, lighting, furniture placement, and different design ideas. Some changes will work, most won't, but that's a part of the process. And that's what this channel is all about. Exploring how the spaces around us influence the way we live, work, think, and feel. If that sounds interesting, I'd love to have you along the journey. Thanks for watching.